I want to draw attention to some comments today from Dougal Bird, who often leaves some very interesting comments, and Mandy Austin, who also leaves very interesting comments. And I wouldn't want to discourage either of these people from leaving their comments, so they very rarely agree with what I've got to say. But Dougal Bird says, "Is Farage wrong, though? I'm not convinced he is. Of course, if he is right, they will try to suppress the truth from getting out. If it turns out he is right, will you apologise, Tim?" And Mandy replies to this and says, "Tim likes whistleblowers and constructive critics, but not in certain subjects like diversity, ideologies and religion. We are in a truly desperate situation when some become chastised for daring to speak the truth." Well, I am very mindful of a piece of film this morning from Jeremy Vine, in which he was discussing the riot in Leeds with Storm Huntley. And Storm Huntley says that they got pictures overnight with what was going on here, and it appears there's been official statements, but it appears there was a child from a Roma gypsy family that had fallen or been injured seriously, and therefore the social security people came and they took away 4 or 5 children. And because there were protests, the police came, and that's, he says, the bigger picture. And the right on social media have used this to stoke their politics of division. And he talks about various individuals who have been tweeting, this is the subcontinent. And the subcontinent, of course, he's referring to Nigel Farage's comment. Nigel Farage has sparked anger with his comment. "The politics of the subcontinent are currently playing out on the streets of Leeds. Don't say I didn't warn you." But as Storm points out very clearly, the subcontinent is India, Pakistan, Asia generally. That is the subcontinent. It's a fairly patronising definition, but it is the subcontinent. And the problem centred around an area called Luxor Street. It started at 5 p.m. on Thursday because of an ongoing disturbance, quote, involving agency workers and children. And there's very little detail about this, so I am very grateful to the interview on Jeremy Vine with Storm, and he's put it very clearly into perspective. So now, if we go back to the question about will I apologise, first of all, I don't see that an apology is necessary, but I take it that Dougal Bird wants me to apologise for suggesting that Farage is wrong. Well, I don't. I think he is wrong. I think he's absolutely wrong. He's spoken before he knows the details. He's assumed that this is a disturbance that comes from a particular part of our society. He's wrong. And the difference between Farage and me, and it's an important difference, is Farage is an elected representative of his constituency. I am just somebody sitting in front of my computer, occasionally making YouTube videos, otherwise animating and doing some teaching and bits and pieces. I am offering an opinion. Farage has a position of responsibility. Farage should watch out what he says. I can quite happily say one thing today and another thing tomorrow. And yes, if I'm wrong, I'll correct it. But in this particular case, I'm afraid I don't believe I am wrong. I think Farage has misspoken. I'm not the only person to have pointed that out. And I think it's not the only time that Farage has gone too far. And today he was also questioned on Channel 4 about why he was in the Republican convention. Liz Truss was followed on Channel 4 as well. Liz Truss, of course, didn't want to speak to anybody because Liz Truss has got nothing to say. But Farage did say that in foreign policy he's here because of peace and because Trump guaranteed peace during his 4 years and Farage wants more peace. Well, I think that's a very noble aim. I'm not completely sure that his solution is right, but his ambition is absolutely correct. We all want peace. And how we get peace, that's another matter. As I say, I think Farage's solution is wrong. But his irritation with reporters, what else does he expect is going to happen while he's hobnobbing around in America when he should be working on the problems that are in Clacton, and he should be dealing with his constituency? He has a reputation for being rather aberrant when it comes to his presence in parliaments. He apparently his timekeeping in the European Parliament was a little wayward, and I don't think that will be tolerated in Westminster. And it may well be that he again is a victim of fake propaganda or malicious propaganda. Propaganda, as we ought to recognise, has got this negative meaning today, but originally it was simply a word trotted out by the Latin-speaking Catholic Church in the Middle Ages. It was the noun that developed from to propagate. Propaganda was what people who were promoting the faith propagated. Propaganda was considered in its original form a positive thing. Now it's considered a negative thing, but propaganda is literally to put out information.